In 2003, archaeologist Sergio Gomez made a discovery beneath the Temple of the Feathered Serpent that would change everything we thought we knew about ancient Mexico. 50 feet underground, sealed for nearly 2,000 years, he found something that absolutely should not exist in the ancient world. Liquid mercury. Pools of it. Gallons of toxic, shimmering liquid metal carefully placed in chambers beneath the pyramid. But here's where it gets really weird. Next to the mercury, golden spheres containing substances scientists still can't identify. Walls lined with mica sheets imported from over 2,000 miles away, and a city layout that perfectly mirrors our solar system's planetary positions. Oh, and nobody knows who built it, or where they went, or why the Aztecs who found this place abandoned 1,000 years later called it the City of the Gods. Today, we're diving deep into Teotihuacan, one of archaeology's greatest unsolved mysteries, and asking the question that might just blow your mind. Was this ancient Mexican metropolis an alien spaceport? I'm serious. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might be too. But first, smash that like button, because apparently the algorithm gods demand sacrifice, and subscribe so you don't miss part 2 where things get even weirder. Trust me. All right, let's set the scene. Because before we talk about alien spaceports, and yes, we're really going there, we need to understand just how insane this place actually is. Teotihuacan is located about 30 miles northeast of modern-day Mexico City. Today, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that gets about 4 million tourists a year. But at its peak, around 450 AD, it was one of the largest cities in the entire world. We're talking 125,000 people, maybe more, living in a planned metropolis that covered 8 square miles, with multi-story apartment compounds, temples, pyramids, and a sophisticated drainage system. To put that in perspective, at the same time, Rome had about 1 million people. Teotihuacan was the 6th largest city on Earth. Pretty impressive, right? But here's the first mystery. We have no idea who built it. Like none. Zero. Nada. Zilch. The city was already abandoned when the Aztecs showed up around 1300 AD. They found these massive pyramids and thought, well, obviously only gods could have built something this incredible. So they named it Teotihuacan, literally meaning birthplace of the gods, or city of the gods. The Aztecs had their own sophisticated civilization, remember. They built Tenochtitlan. They had advanced mathematics and astronomy. They invented hot chocolate, bless them for that. But even they looked at Teotihuacan and said, nah, this was definitely divine intervention. That's like if we found New York City abandoned today, and our great-great-grandchildren decided aliens must have built the Empire State Building, which, honestly, some people already think, but that's another video. Now, the site is dominated by 3 main structures. The Pyramid of the Sun, the 3rd largest pyramid in the world, at 216 feet tall and 730 feet across at the base. That's about 2/3 the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Pyramid of the Moon, slightly smaller, but equally impressive. And the Temple of the Feathered Serpent, also called the Temple of Quetzalcoatl, which is where things start getting extraterrestrial. All 3 are connected by the Avenue of the Dead, a massive central boulevard that runs for 1.5 miles through the city's center. The Aztecs called it that because they thought the smaller platforms lining it were tombs. Spoiler, they weren't, but the name stuck anyway. Ancient Aztec real estate agents, lovely property on the Avenue of the Dead, very peaceful, quiet neighbors. For centuries, archaeologists assumed Teotihuacan was just another impressive Mesoamerican city, maybe built by the Toltecs, or the Totonacs, or some other culture that left no written records. But then, they started digging deeper, literally, and that's when things got weird. 2003. Archaeologist Sergio Gomez is investigating the Temple of the Feathered Serpent when heavy rainfall reveals something nobody expected: a hidden entrance to a tunnel system. After years of excavation, his team finally reaches the end. 3 chambers, 60 feet underground, sealed for approximately 1,800 years. And inside? Liquid mercury. Lots of it. Now, let's talk about why this is absolutely bonkers. First off, mercury is toxic. Like, really toxic. These ancient people somehow mined it, refined it, transported gallons of it underground, and sealed it in chambers, all without dying from mercury poisoning, which causes neurological damage, kidney failure, and death. The Romans used mercury in medicine and mining, sure, but they also died from it constantly. They didn't build sealed underground mercury chambers because they weren't crazy. Second, mercury in its liquid form requires processing cinnabar ore at temperatures above 674 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a pretty sophisticated metallurgical operation for a culture we claim had primitive technology. But here's the big question: why? Archaeologists have proposed that mercury might have had symbolic significance, representing water, or the underworld, or ceremonial purposes. But here's the thing: there's no precedent for this anywhere else in Mesoamerica. No other pre-Columbian culture in the Americas used liquid mercury in architecture. None. This is unique to Teotihuacan. So, what are the alternative theories? Buckle up, because this is where ancient astronaut theorists enter the chat. Some researchers have pointed out that liquid mercury has some very interesting properties. It's an excellent conductor of electricity and heat. NASA has actually explored using it in certain propulsion systems. In Hindu texts, mercury is mentioned in connection with flying machines called vimanas. And in China, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, supposedly contains rivers of mercury, and thermoluminescence tests actually detected massive mercury concentrations in the soil around the unexcavated tomb. So we have civilizations across the world, separated by oceans and thousands of miles, all independently deciding that mercury is super important for symbolic reasons? Or, and hear me out, maybe they knew something about mercury's properties that we're only rediscovering now. Some theorists suggest the mercury chambers could have been part of a power generation system, or even a propulsion mechanism. Think about it: a highly conductive liquid metal, sealed in chambers beneath a massive stone structure that's aligned to astronomical positions. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds crazy.
That's crazy.
And you're right, it does. But keep that thought in your back pocket, because we're just getting started with the weird stuff. Because the mercury, that's just the appetizer. The main course is what they found next to the mercury. So you're 60 feet underground in a 2,000-year-old sealed chamber. You've just found pools of toxic liquid mercury, and you're thinking, well, this day can't get any weirder. And then you see them. Hundreds of metallic spheres scattered across the chamber floors. Golden in color, ranging from golf ball to baseball size. Perfectly spherical. And unlike anything found anywhere else in Mesoamerica. What are they? Initial analysis showed they were made from clay and covered with a metallic coating containing iron pyrite, fool's gold. But here's where it gets interesting. The cores of these spheres contain organic material and compounds that scientists are still analyzing. Official archaeology says, oh, they're probably ceremonial objects, or maybe decorative items, or possibly symbolic representations of something. Definitely something symbolic. Ancient people loved symbolism. Case closed. But let's think about this logically. These spheres were 1. Placed in a sealed chamber that took enormous effort to construct. 2. Left alongside toxic liquid mercury. 3. Buried under 60 feet of carefully layered fill. 4. Sealed for nearly 2 millennia. That's a lot of work for Christmas ornaments. Some of the spheres, when analyzed with X-ray fluorescence, showed they were coated with jarosite, a mineral that forms in highly acidic conditions and wasn't even discovered by modern science until the 1800s. Others contained magnetite clusters, arranged in unusual patterns. And here's the kicker. When a robot was sent down to explore the tunnel in 2014, it detected unusually high electromagnetic readings near the sphere locations. But I'm sure that's all just coincidence, right? Now, ancient astronaut theorists have suggested these spheres could be ancient power cells, or navigation devices, or components of some kind of technology we don't understand. Is that outlandish? Maybe. But consider this. In 1936, archaeologists in Iraq discovered the Baghdad Battery, a 2,000-year-old clay jar that absolutely could have functioned as a galvanic cell, producing 1.1 to 2 volts of electricity. Modern replicas work perfectly. The Antikythera mechanism, found in a Roman-era shipwreck, turned out to be an incredibly sophisticated astronomical computer from around 100 BC that we couldn't fully understand until we CT scanned it in 2006. My point is, ancient people were way more technologically sophisticated than we give them credit for. And sometimes, what looks like primitive superstition turns out to be advanced science we just don't recognize yet. Were these golden spheres ancient batteries? Components of some unknown device? Containers for important substances? We literally don't know. Scientists are still studying the ones that haven't been displayed in museums. But wait, because there's more. And this next one? This is where I started questioning everything. In 1906, archaeologist Leopoldo Batris was excavating a structure now called the Mica Temple, when he found something that made no sense. Layers upon layers of mica sheets, a shimmering, heat-resistant mineral placed between stone floors, not decorative pieces. Entire walls lined with mica, floor after floor, separated by sheets of this stuff. And then, in the 1960s, archaeologists discovered another massive chamber, the Temple of Mica, containing 2 enormous sheets of mica, each measuring 90 feet across. 2 huge sheets, just sitting there, buried, covered, hidden from view. Now here's question number 1. Why? Mica is beautiful, sure. It's shiny, it splits into thin, transparent sheets, it catches light gorgeously, but all of the mica at Teotihuacan was buried. Nobody could see it. It wasn't decorative. That's like buying a Lamborghini and keeping it in your basement with the lights off. Kinda defeats the purpose, doesn't it? Question number 2. Where did it come from? Here's where this story goes from weird to absolutely insane. The mica found at Teotihuacan came from Brazil. Brazil, as in 2,000 miles away, through jungles, over mountains, across rivers, in a time before wheels were used in Mesoamerica, before horses, before any of the transportation technology we take for granted. Someone transported massive sheets of fragile mineral 2,000 miles through hostile terrain to bury them where nobody would ever see them. Make it make sense. The official explanation? Ceremonial significance, symbolic importance, religious purposes. But let's talk about what mica actually does, because this is where things get spicy. Mica is an excellent electrical insulator, highly resistant to heat up to 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, used in nuclear reactors as a thermal barrier, used in capacitors and electronics, opaque to fast neutrons, used in aerospace applications. NASA uses mica in spacecraft. Nuclear power plants use it in reactor cores. Electronics manufacturers use it in circuit boards. But sure, ancient Teotihuacanos transported it 2,000 miles just for vibes. Engineer Christopher Dunn, who studies ancient technology, has pointed out that if you were building some kind of energy generation device or a structure meant to contain certain kinds of radiation or electromagnetic fields, mica would be an excellent shielding material. The layout is suspicious too. The mica wasn't randomly scattered. It was precisely placed in specific structures, in multiple layers, with air gaps between layers. That's an engineering configuration, not decoration. And remember those electromagnetic readings near the golden spheres? The same sensors picked up unusual readings in the mica chambers. Now, I'm not saying ancient Mexicans were building nuclear reactors. That would be insane. But I am saying that the official explanations, it's ceremonial, it's symbolic, they just liked shiny rocks. Those explanations don't hold up to scrutiny. Something else was going on here. Something we don't understand yet. And when you look at the bigger picture, the layout of the entire city, that's when the ancient astronaut theory starts sounding less crazy and more uncomfortably plausible. Okay, we need to talk about the layout of Teotihuacan, because this is where things go from "that's weird" to "okay, what the actual..." In 1974, engineer Hugh Harleston Jr. made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. He spent years precisely measuring every structure in Teotihuacan, and he found something extraordinary. The city is built to scale as a model of our solar system. I'm not talking about vague similarities. I'm talking about mathematical precision that makes modern urban planners jealous. The layout includes: the Pyramid of the Sun represents the Sun, obviously. The Pyramid of the Moon represents the Moon. Still with me? But then the positions of the smaller structures along the Avenue of the Dead correspond to the orbital positions of Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. Wait, back up. Uranus? Uranus wasn't officially discovered until 1781 by William Herschel using a telescope. The Teotihuacanos didn't have telescopes. They supposedly didn't even have the wheel. But apparently they knew about a planet 1.7 billion miles away that's literally invisible to the naked eye. Sure, makes perfect sense. No questions here. But wait, there's more math, and it's about to get really precise. The Pyramid of the Sun has a base perimeter of 2,932.8 feet. Divided by 2, that gives you 1,466.4 feet. That number happens to be the polar radius of Earth times 43,200. The height of the pyramid, 233.5 feet times 43,200 equals the polar radius of Earth. The structure encodes the dimensions of our planet. Coincidence, scream the critics. Okay, sure, let's talk about other coincidences. The distance between the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon equals 920 feet. That ratio matches the relationship between the Sun and Moon's apparent size in our sky. The Avenue of the Dead is oriented 15.5 degrees east of true north, the exact angle needed to align with the Pleiades star cluster, which was hugely significant to nearly every ancient Mesoamerican culture. The entire city uses a measurement unit Harleston called the Hunub, about 1.059 meters. And when you measure the site using this unit, suddenly, everything aligns to precise mathematical constants. The Great Pyramid of Giza also encodes pi and the golden ratio. Stonehenge, aligned to solar and lunar events with precision. Angkor Wat in Cambodia, astronomical observatory. So here's my question. How did ancient civilizations, separated by oceans and thousands of miles, all independently develop advanced astronomical knowledge and encode it in massive stone structures? And why? Why go through the enormous effort of building monuments that encode planetary positions, mathematical constants, and astronomical knowledge? The mainstream answer is, they were really into astronomy and math. Okay, but I'm really into pizza, and you don't see me building a 200-foot-tall monument to pepperoni. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that these sites weren't just temples or tombs. They were functional structures, possibly communication devices, energy generators, or astronomical computers. Some even suggest they were built as landing markers or navigation beacons for extraterrestrial visitors. But massive stone structures, positioned according to eternal cosmic principles, encoded with mathematical constants, those last. Those communicate across millennia, even to people who don't speak your language. Maybe Teotihuacan wasn't built by aliens. Maybe it was built to communicate with them. Or maybe, and this is what really keeps me up at night, maybe it was built by humans who were far, far more advanced than we ever imagined. Which brings us to the big question everyone's been waiting for. So, let's address the elephant in the room. Or should I say, the spaceship in the pyramid. Ancient astronaut theory. The idea that extraterrestrial beings visited Earth in the distant past and influenced human civilization. For some people, this is gospel truth. For others, it's complete pseudoscience. I'm going to try to be fair to both sides because, honestly, the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Here's what the ancient astronaut theorists point to at Teotihuacan. 1. The liquid mercury, possible propulsion system component or energy source. 2. The golden spheres, unknown technology or power cells. 3. The mica lining, radiation shielding or electromagnetic insulation. 4. The cosmic alignment, navigation system or communication array. 5. The mathematical precision, knowledge that shouldn't exist in primitive culture. 6. The sudden appearance and disappearance. The city was built, thrived, and abandoned without clear explanation. The theory goes something like this. An advanced civilization, possibly extraterrestrial, either built Teotihuacan or provided knowledge to humans to build it. The site served as a spaceport, communication hub, or energy generation facility. The liquid mercury was part of the propulsion system. The mica provided shielding. The cosmic alignment allowed for navigation or communication with off-world locations. Eventually they left. The city was abandoned. Later cultures found it and, unable to comprehend the technology, assumed it was built by gods. The mainstream archaeological community says, absolutely not. They argue that 1. Ancient humans were incredibly smart and capable. 2. Given enough time and labor, humans can build anything. 3. The mysteries have conventional explanations we just haven't found yet. 4. There's no definitive proof of extraterrestrial involvement. 5. Attributing everything to aliens diminishes human achievement. And you know what? They're not wrong. Ancient humans were brilliant. The idea that they needed alien help to build impressive structures is actually kind of insulting. But here's my position and why I think this debate matters. We should absolutely celebrate human ingenuity and achievement. The people who built Teotihuacan were geniuses, whether they were human, alien, or human taught by aliens. But we should also remain open to evidence that challenges our assumptions. Science progresses by questioning established narratives, not by defending them dogmatically. The mercury? That needs explanation, not hand-waving about ceremonial purposes. The mica from Brazil? That needs explanation, not vague gestures toward symbolic importance. The mathematical precision? That deserves study, not dismissal as coincidence. Maybe there weren't aliens. Maybe this was just a really advanced human civilization that we've dramatically underestimated. But that raises its own questions. If humans 2,000 years ago had this level of knowledge, where did it come from? And why did it disappear? There's another theory that's gaining traction, and it's almost as wild as the alien hypothesis. What if there was a global maritime civilization in prehistory, before the last ice age, that had advanced knowledge of astronomy, mathematics, and engineering? What if that civilization was wiped out by a cataclysmic event around 12,000 years ago? But survivors spread across the world, bringing their knowledge to places like Egypt, Mexico, Cambodia, and Peru? That would explain the similarities between ancient sites worldwide. The shared astronomical knowledge, the common building techniques, the sudden appearance of advanced mathematics in supposedly primitive cultures. It wouldn't require aliens, just a forgotten chapter of human history. But whether it was aliens, or an ancient lost civilization, or just really smart Mesoamericans working with Stone Age tools, one thing is absolutely certain. We don't know the full story, not even close. So, here we are, back where we started, standing in the shadow of these massive pyramids, looking at pools of liquid mercury, golden spheres filled with unknown substances, and walls lined with heat-resistant mica, transported from 2,000 miles away, the city of the gods. And you know what the most frustrating part is? We may never know the truth. About 75% of Teotihuacan remains unexcavated. The Mexican government restricts digging in many areas due to preservation concerns. And with every year that passes, humidity, pollution, and millions of tourist footsteps degrade what's left. Future generations might have even fewer clues than we do. But here's what we do know. Whoever built this place, human, alien, or something we can't even imagine, they wanted to leave something behind. A message, a monument, a mystery. And maybe that's the point. Maybe we're not supposed to have all the answers. Maybe the mystery itself is the message. Look, whether you think this was an alien spaceport, a prehistoric power plant, or just a really impressive ancient city, one thing is undeniable. Our ancestors were far more capable than we give them credit for, and history is far stranger than we've been taught. So here's what I want you to do. Stay curious, question narratives, demand evidence, but also remain open to possibilities that challenge your worldview. Because somewhere out there, buried under dirt and time and conventional wisdom, are truths that will blow our minds. Was Teotihuacan an alien spaceport? Probably not. But is there more to the story than mainstream archaeology admits? Absolutely. The liquid mercury isn't going anywhere. The mica remains unexplained. The golden spheres still hold their secrets. And the mathematical precision speaks for itself. The City of the Gods is keeping its mysteries for now. If you made it this far, you're officially part of the mystery-solving crew. Drop a comment with your theory. Ancient aliens? Lost civilization? Super smart ancient humans? Let's argue in the comments like civilized people. Hit that subscribe button because we're diving into more ancient mysteries that'll make you question everything you learned in history class. And if you want to support this channel and help us investigate more sites like this, there's a Patreon link below. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, the truth isn't out there, it's under there. 6 stories underground, covered in mercury, and waiting for us to be smart enough to understand it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go research whether aliens invented tacos, because at this point, nothing would surprise me. Thanks for watching.